Yeah. Okay.
Hey folks, my name is Jessica Mashkovich and this is One Take with Jess. This is when I do the intro. Today's guest is Peg Samuel. Peg and I met on Twitter Spaces, and it's a new world that I stepped into called the Metaverse. You may have heard Mark Zuckerberg talking about it, but it's actually been around for a while before he released words out to the general public. And Peg has been involved in this space for a very long time. In meta terms, very long means like a decade or two. But so I brought her on today to help me talk about what this world is, some of the terms that you've heard fly by, whether it's DeFi, crypto, Web 1, 2, 3. Peg has, you've been described as a Swiss Army knife. So I did read that on the About Me section in your website. And from what I've learned of you, you do have a bunch of knowledge that you've applied over the years in many different ways to bring forward technology and make it digestible. So you've been in innovative technology for over 2 decades. You were a professor at NYU in media relations, and you ushered in social media during that time because that's when that came about. And you knowing about it, it's like, hey, you know about it and you're a professor, so let's talk about it. So we appreciate that on behalf of the education system. And you've been in DeFi and NFTs since 2017. And even before that as well, it was just called something else. And you're now the co-founder of Fierce Studios, where fashion meets technology. And that itself is a project on its own that's probably going to go to the moon, as they say. So thank you for joining me here. And I mentioned to you that I do want to have a casual chat in helping other people understand, or helping me describe and understand what this Web3 is, the metaverse, a little bit about DeFi, which is decentralized finance, and a little bit of crypto, a little bit about this whole NFT craze. And so welcome to my lair.
Thank you. And thank you for the intro. It's quite, I know it's a mouthful, like I've been around that long, right? So no, I'm really grateful that I'm here, and hopefully I feel like I can break down these complex concepts to just be digestible. And I'll start with, I feel like that in crypto and NFTs, they've literally taken everything we already know and just named it something else. It's like, yeah. Let's just name it this, let's name it that. So I think I was watching actually Jimmy Fallon the other day, and he was right. He did like a song on like the popular hip words right now, right? And he's like, and they'll all be different next week. And it's like, it's kind of, I feel like sometimes it's a little bit of that, just like, give me my crypto dictionary and you go, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
this is like
when the kids started texting all of these shorthand things, like as a mom, I had to print out, well, what does that mean? And what does that mean? So yeah, we will catch on, and the words will change, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So if I was to define, if you'd like me to, like Web 1, 2, and 3, to keep it like, I mean, and again, it's my opinion, like someone, and we will also say one caveat, my 2 decades, I've been in innovation technology, and if it was called the Wild West, I was in the middle of it. I will say I was in like marketing, advertising, communications, storytelling roles. So I'm by no means an engineer or a developer. So my definitions will be of that storytelling lightness. So hopefully that will help the audience. So
well, they need to be, because I explained it to you. Like, I just want to be able to tell my friend Brenda what this whole world is. Or if I had to explain it to my dad, I would need to figure out a way to explain it and relate it back to, to current day.
Yeah. So I just want to caveat all this in case like somebody super techie comes on and is like, what is Peg Samuel talking about? She doesn't know what So in my and I also say sometimes in this stuff, we dumb it down for smart people. So it's like, I'm speaking to somebody that's smart and wants to learn about it. It's new. We're like still super early. So it's like, there's some oh gosh, I can't think of the word, but like for learning this early. It is early. So web one, think .com. Like in my history of jobs I've had, I worked at the Weather Channel before weather.com came out. And they said, why don't you work on weather.com? And that was web one. So I did
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then
And that usually defined as like brochureware. I too was involved
yeah,
in the web sphere during that time. I was kind of one of the first people to create a web presence for NatWest Bank. And I
yeah,
was on this core team that kind of represented the rest of how the bank was handling the strategy on getting online. So that was like putting
yeah,
brochureware was very, and forms, a couple email forms
yeah,
that you would submit. That was like web
yeah.
one.
Yeah, web one is like, okay, we're like lots of publishing, then search engines.
Mhm.
Um, I was at a search engine before Google came out. Then it was like, what's Google? You know, I bought an airline ticket online and it got FedEx to me. Like, what's that? You know, that's
Yeah.
web one, right? And then it goes all the way up to social media. And this is where my professor hat really like tunes on. So um, web two is social media because now we have this constant communication with each other. Like I remember the beginning of Facebook and it was like my interns were obsessed with it because I had like New York University interns and it was just within the college system. And so it was like this new communication tool for them and one-to-one. And then a lot of what I talked about in school was like citizen journalism and how that just changed everything. And
Mhm.
so we've got like our Facebook, Twitter, eventually Instagram and all those things. So that's web two in a nutshell. And like we're still in very much in that world. And for the good or the bad,
Yeah.
it all the things that come with it. That's kind
And
of like
it
my short.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it kind of it opens up the door even wider. So, web one kind of gave you insight into more company information at your fingertips or that sort of thing. Information like
Mhm,
libraries, you could still look things up and get information that you've never had before. So that
mhm.
opened your world up. And then web two with the social interactions really opened your world up because you were connecting with people from high school, and my mom was connecting
Mhm.
people from places that she hadn't seen. So it kind of added another layer to your everyday life and brought in another aspect of a social. And web3 is
Yeah.
just going to get you deeper further through the door, and once you're through the door, it's like you're in a whole new realm where you just
Yeah.
look around and
Yeah.
everything is there.
Yeah. So like web three, I feel like some of it, and I mean, definitions are different. Like people in the space, as it's called, are just like web three is now. This is what we're in, at least when you're in that ecosystem of people. And that would include like NFTs, um, like crypto, which are tokens, decentralized finance, and all the things that go with that. And I think if there's a through line with it, it's like, okay, some of it too is, in social, we're giving and this is a whole other conversation that I'm limited in my knowledge, but we're giving our data away. We're giving it away, giving it away, giving it away. Like I thought about it early on before Facebook took ads. I'm like, the amount of information they have on everybody here is like a massive amount of research. This could be a great research company. And it's like, it's a big ad company, right? But then it's like, oh, well, wait, they are selling our data and then manipulating and all the things that come with that. So I think um, crypto, the Satoshi Nakamoto history was born out of so Bitcoin in that white paper was born out of the housing market crash and the financial crash, like taking technology and taking like this ownership of finance more into people's hands. And again, I'm limited in this. And then other things were born from that were like Ethereum came about, and it's like similar to Bitcoin in my mind. Like it's another track, it's another crypto, but it's something that can be built upon.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
then
more of an infrastructure that
yeah,
that the crypto can be
yeah.
built upon.
So
It's
sometimes when I
weird.
talk to
You're like
some
down. Go ahead.
somebody new, like you'd be like, oh, I work in crypto, keep it that way. And like if they just say Bitcoin, I know who I'm talking to, versus like NFTs or, like,
Yeah.
so it's like, what's the layer of knowledge, and also for listeners here,
Yeah. It is a weird time because it's almost like this is early. And because we had all walked through, not all, because some of us, a small, very small population, have now walked through the door into Web3 and into this metaverse. Now
Mhm.
it's like, cool. What are we going to set up here? It's like building an entire new land.
Yep.
Figuring out how
Yes.
things are going to run. Is there going to be a universal programming language to build upon? Because like you were saying, oh, which is probably the antithesis of decentralized, right? Is that why you were
Right.
sort of shaking your
No,
head?
no. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that
I
was what
mean,
was talked
well,
about today in one of the rooms. And I
yeah.
too was like, wait a second. But someone said, if we're going to create for Decentraland and create for Fortnite and create for all these environments, you're going to want to, and I'm jumping ahead here, so forgive me,
No, go
you're
ahead.
going to want to take your stuff with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's like,
there has to be some kind of uniform code where you can use it in Facebook and you can use it in Decentraland. So there has to be some kind of fundamental string that is, consistent, which is weird. I see that.
yeah. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Cause it's also like, I remember, okay, so early days, in the 90s, I was part of like this um, interactive marketing association. And do you remember this, when there was like the IAB was made? So it was like, in order to standardize advertising on the web in like 5 different sizes, so it wasn't like all over the place.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Like banner
Yeah,
ads. Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about? Or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
On the
So
left,
it's
on the
like,
right, on the
the
top.
left, and that they'd be
Yeah.
these like, they'd be, because since like websites were starting to like, because the other thing too, like people don't realize too, they're probably listening, is like the barrier to entry was really high in the beginning. Like in order to have a website, it cost a lot,
Mhm.
right? And so and then eventually it's like, well, now I do a little subscription, or for free I can just have a website. But in the 90s it cost a lot to have a website. And then if somebody wanted to monetize it, and just trying to have some sort of standards around it, right? So this is like the opposite of where we are now in terms of thinking like metaverse and all that. I I think it's like it is, this is like even Wild West for me to think about, right? So it's like maybe a couple of steps ahead. Um,
Yeah,
but
wrapping your head around it. Like I have to step back and be like, okay, I've come unraveled. I need to wrap my head
yeah,
around it
yeah.
again.
So if I was going to roll the conversation back for any like listeners too, it's like, okay, so we had like Bitcoin, right? And then we have Ethereum, and Ethereum is something that's able to be built upon. And then we have like this explosion of things, cool things in the Web3 area, or crypto, if you will. Like it was just like, I work in crypto in 2018, and now I work in finance slash crypto. So it wasn't called DeFi yet, but I was doing things like, and I first learned about um, NFTs, or digital art, in a New York Times article in 2018, in January. And I say this because it's like, this is like, some of this is about like mass adoption. Can we bring more people in, or blah, blah, and it's like, I read about it in the Times. Like it wasn't a secret. And so I read about digital art in the Times. I'm like a regular art collector, not like a big deal art collector, but I go to this event, this digital art event, where crypto punks were there and crypto kitties were there. And I found the article, and I actually I went that day, and I went home and bought a crypto punk. And it took probably like most of the better part of my evening. I double checked the dates, and it's like, it was the same day,
Mhm.
to like teach myself to download the MetaMask, and like get the money from here to there, and just like learn all the things to do
Mhm.
it. It was complicated.
Yeah,
And then,
it still is.
and,
Yeah.
and yeah. And so, um, if I fast forward to now, and like, so there's, oh, between then and now, I even spoke at NFT NYC like this last time, but I spoke at it like the year before, and people were like, what is that? What is an NFT? And
I
I'm
didn't
like,
even know it was the year before. I was actually in the city. So NFT NYC,
yeah,
for the listeners, is a big convention that all of the, whether you're owners or fans or creators, you kind of come out. There's sessions for you to learn about. A lot of the creators that launched NFTs, they have parties for you. We actually went to a couple of cool gatherings as well for PAK, PAK, and the poets. And so we went to a couple of things, but we live in New Jersey, so it was just a quick hop in for the evening. We didn't stay too long. But yeah,
yeah,
it's almost like there are TED Talks going on that
yeah,
are
yeah,
specific to this whole new space. So
yeah.
that's cool that you spoke at it, and I didn't even know that they had it. Was last year the first
They
year?
had it, they had it. So the first year was 2 years ago. And what the founder of it was like, you were there. And I was like, I don't know. I might have been there, but I definitely didn't speak at the first one. But I spoke at the second one, which was it was in 2020, but it was right before the pandemic. So, because I was like, that's a long time ago. How is it like I spoke at 2020 and 2021? It's like, oh, well, one was at the beginning of the year,
Uh,
and so, but even then, like, my crypto friends knew what NFTs were, but not regular people. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
it's some crypto thing. And in between those times, and even say this year, is I used to do a lot of talks and moderate panels on, and NFTs are so much more than just digital art. But I would, as a professor liking to teach, I could visually wrap my head around digital art being the thing that you're purchasing. Or even, I was talking about, like, here's another word for you: fractionalized ownership. What the heck is fractionalized ownership, right? But turns out it's like, if I have one thing and I want to buy a piece of it, just like buying some shares of something, like, you don't necessarily need to have a whole share of an Apple stock. You can just put in whatever money you can, and you get a portion of a share. But for me, it was more like, okay, so I can potentially buy like some of a Warhol, right?
Mhm.
So, and the mechanism around that could be an NFT, or, you know, or what have you, like
Right.
or an NFT. It can be like somehow connected to a QR code, and I can check the, like, provenance of art or food or
Mhm.
fashion or materials or anything like that. So just like web one, like, I think from a macro level, like, we can understand this digital art element with these profile pictures and all that, and the big headlines, da, da, da. But from a like micro level, this is new technology that's going to end up being applied to so many things, and eventually people won't even realize, like, that's what they're using.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, if you think of it like shares of a company, it just kind of becomes part of your portfolio, and you continue on through life. And you're like, yeah,
Yep.
I have shares in Disney. It depends how many shares, and if you're on the board of directors, and if
Yes.
you have voting rights and everything. But yeah, so tokenizing is similar to shares. And just to wind it back a little bit with the definition of an NFT. NFT is non-fungible tokens, because I'm talking to my dad here, for example.
Yes.
And something that's fungible is like a dollar. I can give you a dollar, you give me a dollar. It's the same thing. But non-fungible is, for example, it could be artwork, it could be a one-of-one piece. It's a limited, it's a unique type of piece that doesn't have an equivalent if you kind of change it out. Is that correct in
Yep.
terms of
Yep.
fungible versus non-fungible?
Yes, you got it. You got it. I know it's a tough one to explain as well, because
It
it's like,
is.
but wait, so
And each one
um
will have a different value based upon attributes. And here I'm only
yeah,
talking like art, but some NFTs can have a utility to it.
yes.
So you want to, when you're looking at NFTs to buy them, you want to see, well, what is this company going to do? And you kind of look at the roadmap. And if I buy a V friend like Conviction Cockroach, which we had my husband sold it when the market went up in order to buy other things. We had like a limited funds that we were going to apply to the NFT market. And we had to make some smart decisions in order to just kind of expand out our horizons. So I can kick myself for him not having kept Conviction Cockroach, but that offered you access to VCon. And VCon
Right.
is a gathering of Gary Vee and a lot of influential artists and speakers and stuff. And so there was a utility component to it. If people are familiar with the finance world, you're kind of like betting on the future of what's to come. So it's almost similar to a SPAC in finance. We heard a lot about SPACs during the pandemic when people had a lot of money and they were investing in a set of people that formed a SPAC and didn't have a company behind it yet. It had a company, but it didn't have a product behind it yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was a vision. So a lot of times what you're doing is you're kind of even buying into the vision sometimes when you're buying an NFT. So it can be many things.
Yeah, it could be a lot of things. And what's interesting about this is like, well, is it an NFT? Are you buying a piece of art, or are you kind of buying shares of a company here? Like, what is it?
Yes.
You're right. Like, it's a little fringy, right? So I do really, and I think also I love the word utility, and that utility are potentially part of these things. And then some of it is like, well, because we are so new, it's like, well, what does utility even mean? Like, is it a ticket? Is it a ticket to something? And then it's also pretty cool. Is it, am I now able to, communities actually, we haven't even touched upon this yet, but community is such a huge part of this. So a lot of the buy-ins are having a like-minded community that you're within. And so having that be friends, it's like you're now, I guess, in his Discord, and you're going to XYZ thing with Gary, and then you probably get some unique content and some special bells and whistles. But what's interesting about that, and this is where we take it now, maybe say over to other brands, is that's kind of a brand play. It's almost like the new social media. Now you're super invested. In fact, you've spent money to hear from Gary's, personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
and be involved in all the things, and you're getting tremendous value. So I'm not knocking that. I think it's amazing. He's matching the value of the utility of these is so high. That's, I guess, potentially why they're becoming priced high on secondary market. Maybe for the drawing, maybe not, right? Who's to say the art, right?
Yeah.
And but so in my current company, we are talking to brands about utility, and it's a slow moving thing. But at the same time, from say social media and Web 2 to say this is Web 3, now using Gary as the example, he has one-to-one access with his owners
Community,
of the NFT. His community are literally invested in him.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, he has their wallet addresses and could drop more art, more
Mm-hmm.
value. I just listened to him earlier. So it's for him, it's all about value and community. What more value can I offer, right? So for him as a brand, or say Nike's the brand or whoever, it's this one-on-one. Now I can drop something in your wallet, not just maybe work through this third party of Facebook and build my brand on Facebook and then have to pay for you to see my brand that I've built on your platform. Now it's there's this directly into the consumer wallet. That's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. And while we're trying to protect ourselves from the intermediary, the Facebook and the privacy, we're trying to keep our privacy, we're also giving a direct access to our information to other people, like Gary Vee, to Nike, to whomever. It is interesting.
Yeah. And I guess I would say in terms of our purchases, because what's kind of so this, should we cover that ENS domain thing that is possible to do? And so so in my Twitter handle is actually, so I bought for lack of better things, if I was going to describe it to my dad, I bought the URL for my wallet.
I was going
So,
to say the CB handle. I don't know.
right, the CB handle,
I grew up in upstate New York, and we used to have
right?
like CBs, and I was Little Pink Panther. So it's like Little Pink Panther to Big Pink Panther over. So yeah,
So,
we kind of bought the CB handle .eth.
right, .eth. And so it could be like buying like, say that company is like the new GoDaddy, right? So it's like you're buying your specific name, whatever name you want, .eth, and .eth will then redirect to your crypto wallet. And so, and these are the addresses I was just talking about. So what's kind of interesting is like, we're giving this, if I'm giving my wallet address to, to get the NFT, right? Like somebody can go and look in my wallet, just like it would be like having an open bank account. Like I look at other people's wallet on Etherscan, and it's like having an open source bank account where I can see
Right. Yeah.
what people have in there. It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy, and it is open, and it is decentralized, and you are getting a direct connection. And again, like for protecting for privacy, it's a very vulnerable type of thing. You can kind of create separate wallets, and you don't have to use your name. You can be as open or anonymous, as identified or as anonymous as you want. But we were talking in a room this morning about people who are able to look in the wallets, and then you're on a list. You're on a list because you have a lot of crypto punks, and they're going to follow you. They're going to market to you and try and be like, what is your seed phrase, which is top secret to anyone that is going to get a wallet, like a MetaMask wallet. You never, ever, ever, ever share your seed phrase. It's kind of like your password extreme. It's, I don't know how many words it is, 12, 15, 26 words. And no one should ever ask you for it, and you should never give it up, because for 5,000, 10,000, $1 million that you have in your crypto wallet, or value of that in your NFTs, that'll be taken like that.
Yeah,
super
so
quick. And you have people that are trying to be, bad actors, malicious actors that will try and rob you at every turn. So you do have to be careful. It is not something where you don't want to fully educate yourself on the risks and the rewards of these types of situations. But
the seed phrase is so important. I'll just reiterate, never give it out. And then also like have a copy somewhere, don't lose it. Because you are your own, because you're your own bank. Like there's no customer service around your wallet. It's your wallet, it's your own bank. And that's part of what was so interesting about crypto, at least for me in the beginning, or Bitcoin, is it's like this self-sovereignty where you're your own bank and I can send money and there's not an intermediary. But there's also been, I've seen a lot of like, there's lots of stories of losing your seed phrase. And then that's, there's nobody you can call, it's like, so having that somewhere, and don't tattoo it on yourself, because then it's you could still have it, like somebody see it and steal it.
Good advice. Talk to me about what the world, oh, by the way, I was listening to someone who also said that if you want to envision kind of what an NFT is, picture being in a sports arena and you buy a sweatshirt there that has a sports team on it. Picture not being able to take that hoodie out with you and go to see another game or go to dinner. Like you have to only wear that hoodie in that arena. So if you think about it as you want to be able to take your stuff with you, you want to be able to display your art wherever. So if you want to display your art in your living room or in your kitchen or at your house in Florida, you don't have to like wrap up the Van Gogh and take it with you wherever you are. It's a more digital fashion where you're authenticated as the owner on the blockchain. And then you can display it if you have the correct hardware in many other locations. So it is a very portable way of living for some of your greatest assets, you know?
I like that. I like that. There's definitely some new ways to show it, around the house. So in a physical place. So I really dig that, like, I mean, there was probably some videos, there was, when I was at that first event, there was a frame that also was displaying at that digital art event. I was at a 2018. So it was like, you could, this frame or that frame. And you could, you could show your crypto kitties or crypto punks or some other art and stuff like that through the frame, which was really cool. So I like that as well. So it's like, it is digital art, but it can be shown in a physical place as well. So
absolutely. Or it can
yeah,
be shown in a virtual gallery. So you can always
yeah, that too.
log onto your computer. You have like a virtual room. It reminds me of the movie Ready Player One.
Yep.
Where we're all going to be, and this kind of brings us to our next thing, like how scared of this world are you? Because I'm like excited and I'm like, nope, don't want it at all.
Yeah.
Because we're all gonna, and I say we're not all. The scenario that I paint is everyone's anywhere. Like I could not shower for 16 days and I'm still in my haptic suit, and my avatar is like on fire.
Rocking.
Like she's
Yeah.
awesome or he's awesome, whoever I want to be. If I want to be a dinosaur that day, my avatar is just, knocking it out of the park in the virtual world. But, me on the personal side, I may be depriving myself of sunlight and social engagement, like real
Yep.
physical social engagement.
Right.
How are you picturing all of this and people managing it?
I think, well, yeah, I mean, this is back to how these just being on digital. And okay, so there's two things I want to actually like plus on what you were saying. It's like where I enjoyed Decentraland was I went to a music, I'm really into music. And so I went to a music festival over like a weekend, but I went into my very first like experience in there. I was at a music festival and I made my whole avatar and I dressed her up, and then I figured out how she could like dance, throw money, walk around, like, yeah, she's like throwing money and doing all this fun stuff.
Like,
I was
you're
like,
just sitting at your computer doing this, but you're
yeah.
enjoying.
And the sound was great. I really enjoyed it because the sound was great.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way I personally enjoy concerts is a little bit as a loner. Like, I like to go in, I like to listen to music. I'm not like all in the pit or anything. So I did kind of the same thing in Decentraland. Like, I wasn't really talking or interacting with other people.
Including the money.
Threw some money out. She was never tired and had some good moves, looked great to, and then I changed her outfit. And to your point about bringing the stuff with you, so there was a couple of sponsors that just dropped in my wallet some gear. So I had like these dead mouse like ears that I could put on, or these like big moon boots, and like some crazy like helmet. And it was like click click click, and now I'm wearing like this crazy stuff, right? And so it did sit over in my kind of like, I could look at it in my collection, like, okay, now I have these weird things in my collection, here they are over here, but I could wear them. So there was a usability. I had like a hat that somebody gave me like a while ago from one of the projects I was in. I was like, what this hat about? Like, I'm just looking at this hat, but then I put it on and I'm like, cool, I can wear this hat here. So to your point about bringing your stuff with you, I haven't tried others to see like, can I bring that? So that's like on a fun note. And I really enjoy music, and now I'm older, so I got to enjoy live music and dance away and not be exhausted about it, right?
That's perfect. That is perfect.
Yes.
And you'll hopefully be able to take all of that stuff with you into whatever Facebook that Mark is creating, with Meta.
Yeah, like wherever else.
He took the whole front of the metaverse and made it meta. So now you have to kind of like make sure if you're talking about meta or if you're talking about metaverse,
Yeah.
But yeah, you
'Cause
should be able to hop and wear your dead mouse ears or
could
helmet.
work on both. And I think it's going to be a technology thing because like I did buy, and also again, I'm a little bit limited in it. Like I bought some like virtual goods from like Rebecca Minkoff and Karl Lagerfeld, and I got this little Lagerfeld like a little guy that so he could be sitting right here during the interview, right, through my phone and maybe Snapchat. But can Carl come with me into the metaverse? I'm not so sure if it's plugged in that way yet. So it's like I'm buying some stuff here and there, but to your point, it's like I have some stuff over in this maybe wallet or platform and that and that. And so it's not, it may be like I have this decentralized closet, I'm not quite sure yet in terms of like my gear.
Yeah.
But in terms of say the future in it, if I think about I mean, part of where I think so crypto, so going into like here's like a digital history lesson. So dot-com bubble burst, right, in the 90s, because it's just like people were just doing stuff, and then like it just like big frothy and then bubble. And so at the first iteration of crypto in 2018 run, it was very similar. And because we had social media and a way to connect so much faster than back in the dot-com bubble, it just, I like said, this is a bubble, like definitely, and it just pops so fast. And they called it though crypto winter because they didn't want to call it a bubble. So crypto winter was pretty long, and especially
Cold winter. Yeah. Not
yeah,
like
so
winter, like you're a winner. Hey, you're a winner. No.
not winter, like cold winter season, which was
No.
more than one season. And so not being a developer, it was like pretty chilly. Like I got out for a little bit and then came back in. And I think this is also from my media perspective, like, so pandemic hits, we're all at home all the time. And then Clubhouse comes out, which is like its own, it's like what like Twitter Spaces is now. Like there's Clubhouse, which is like basically Twitter Spaces, but that's it. Like the voice activated app.
It's an audio meeting room that anyone can join. And well, yeah, Clubhouse
So you have
like VIP
the
at
OG.
first, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden everyone can have a conversation with people. I kind of like view Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse as when my grandfather used to meet the men downtown for coffee. It used to be just a gathering of people that are talking about whether it's your health or your fitness or your well-being or your business goals or whatever the topic is at hand. Like I grab my coffee in the morning and I'm on with a bunch of people that I'm on every day with at 7.
Yep.
And that's like coffee with the men. That's what my grandfather used to do. And I feel Twitter Spaces about the metaverse are basically like having coffee with the men. And it's not a guy girl thing here. It's just my grandfather's when he used to have coffee with the men. And you're kind of setting forth the plans for how the town is going to evolve. And right now these are the spaces in Twitter where I met you, where everyone is planning on how the town and the universe ahead of us is going to evolve.
Yep. So exactly. And that's exactly where it is now. And I will say, just to bridge that gap, this is how we came out of crypto winter and things. So everybody's at home, everybody, it's so weird to still say the whole world, the entire planet Earth was at home, right? And these voice conversations start, and they start picking up, and people are getting knowledge, and we're realizing that diversity is so huge. And we meaning me want a seat at the table, because being a woman in tech, you're not always, it's a smaller portion. And so
we're only
people
5%, by the way.
So
NFT
5%. So 5%. in 2006 to 9 to 10, when I was trying to get VC money, only 1% of women companies got VC money. Fast forward to now, it might be 3%. So we've got a long way to go to bridge the gap. But at any rate, the good news was that an app like Clubhouse really changed the game, because the planet is at home, and we're now learning from each other. And those things like to interject, like GameStop and those other things happen, right? And the rest of the people getting into crypto, it was like, we now have the time, and it's like the time and mental bandwidth, because it's a huge part of it. We have the mental bandwidth to start to learn about this stuff. And so crypto picks up, NFTs pick up, and fast forward to like here we are today. It really was part of the historical phenomenon of why this like just came back like a speeding bullet train and then some, because not just regular social media where we're like blasting and kind of conversation in text form. We're now on these really smart TED Talks every day, right, with each other.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like
much.
your grandfather's coffee meets like TED Talk, and that's the conversation. So now
and you don't even have to get dressed. So part of it being audio only, like even this with you shot me a quick note and you're like, am I camera ready or is this just audio? I'm like, no, you're camera ready. So you just quickly like made yourself look magical, like, because you
Thank
do.
you.
And but yeah, these spaces and these communities that we talk on in the morning, I'll take my phone in the shower with me, and I'm still engaged in the conversation. Know that you've gone into the bathroom when you're in spaces, or in the grocery store, or the shower, or wherever.
Sometimes in the shower, I'll say this: so I don't wash my hair all the time. I'll put a shower cap on, and it'll be over my pods.
But it is like that leads to the other thing of FOMO. You don't want to miss out on any information.
Right.
In this world, it's called alpha. I'm just trying to interject the words that I learned. And the FOMO is the fear of missing out. So you don't want to miss a bit of information or something that's knowledgeable, or where you might be able to contribute, because you're actually a very active contributor. Part of this community is to try and educate and bring other people up to speed and engage them in this, so we can all move forward together. And there's the WAGME term. We're all going to make it, right? Wait, WAGME?
Yeah, we're all going to make it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. I don't think I've heard it out loud. I just think of the letters.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a very commune type of thing, where everyone is kind of doing their share and moving forward. I hope it doesn't become like a Lord of the Flies where Piggy's going to buy it. But
yeah, I think it's like, well, I do also like, and I think this came from the voices, because the voices thing really humanizes these little avatars that we are, whether we're even our own picture, right? You're still this little Twitter handle thing, right? But when you're speaking to somebody, it brings you almost to another level where it's, you're sitting down with somebody. So I think the NFT space is like the friendliest space on Twitter, for people, with the GM every day and how many people, and that's good morning. And so like me, I always put, because I love the engagement, and because I am death in the morning, I always put good morning, like who are my coffee people or coffee. And I could walk away and come back with like how many ever just the gifts of different coffee and good mornings back to me and all these great things. And that's community in itself,
And that is actually still in Web 2.0. You're engaging in Web 2.0. We haven't even opened the door fully into 3.0, where you and I might be able to go to a kickboxing class in the metaverse. So, my avatar and your avatar end up grabbing our bags, and we walk into a gym, and I see you there and you see me there, and we're just like, good morning. Hey, what's up? And we just go at it, exercise, but at least I know that I'm not doing it with just like one-on-one in a computer. I could be doing it with you.
We could be, sorry, that would happen. No, that's okay. We could even be sitting like on your own soundstage and doing this, like physically we're sitting at our own homes like we are now, but aesthetically we could be on your show, exactly. We could be on your show, and and in doing this live, and then the audience is there sitting there. Like, yeah, the Oprah show. Is
Right.
that what you said? The Oprah show?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Oprah, you're there, we're there, and then the audience is also there. And
Right.
so
And
just
then
like,
also everyone gets a car. So if you look under your seat, you have a car that just dropped into your wallet
that's
because
right.
you attended. Yeah, and it's mind-boggling because you could still just be sitting here with no pants and having not showered for 16 days. Yet this
Like
entire
no camera ready needed.
no,
Right.
no. Which scares the living shit out of me. Like, how am I remember my kid playing his video games downstairs. He's 21 now in college.
Mhm.
But I'm like, no, you have to shut down. You've been down there for X number of hours, like 2 hours, whatever it is.
Mhm.
You're out. You got to go and get some sunshine and see the real people in the world. But it was always a very, enriched environment in that game scenario.
Yeah, I'm going to take this to another level too, actually, opposite level. So in the virtual world, this would be cool because I'm loving these. I mean, yeah, I got camera ready really quick and thank you, right? But when I get camera ready for television, it's like a whole ordeal, like hair and make, like, because otherwise you look washed out. Pro hair, pro makeup, what's my outfit? Da, 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 how do I look? All these like things. And I used to be called onto television like last minute to give my like opinion on whatever breaking news, and I feel like I spent so much time in the like getting there. Like I'd be like okay, well, what time? Great, okay, I can make it, like move around. What am I going to wear? This, that. Even if I had like these grab and go outfits, I had to be sort of camera ready, and then they could touch me up, and then getting there, right? And this whole time I'm like, when am I thinking about what I'm even saying? Like I'm an expert, so like that's why they have me. But I literally, they might call me on a piece of breaking news and saying, "Can you comment on this?" So instead of like spending all of that time on that stuff, how
Right.
nice would it be to just like spend my focus on deeply understanding the breaking news, you know,
Absolutely.
and being able to
Absolutely.
really comment on that way. So
Yeah.
I think this becomes exciting for stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like great. You can really, we can, that part is done. Now I can just like really think about some super smart things and dig into the subject more.
Yeah.
And I'm still happy to give those sound bites or whatever they want. Like I literally would show up on stage and be like, what do you need? Here's a few things, and like that. I'm like, great, but all of that extra energy just to get to it, it'd be
Absolutely.
so great not to have.
Yeah. And that's why Zoom, like when the pandemic hit, I just turned to Zoom. I didn't even know what it was, but I had to interview this person in our town who was doing great things. He owned a
Hmm.
restaurant. The restaurant was boom, closed, suffering, and only was doing takeout. And he wanted to make sure that other restaurants in the town were taken care of. So he was having his staff bring in food from other restaurants for them to eat, just to make sure
Cool.
everyone was able to survive. And I was just like, you're just phenomenal. And just the
Yeah.
kindness kicked in so quickly. I
Yeah.
needed to interview him and talk to him so I can let all my Facebook friends know what Frank was doing. And so that's when the Zoom thing kind of came up. And I just love it. I get to talk to so many interesting people.
Yeah.
I learn so much, and I hopefully bringing value to other people that are listening to us talk, but like they see us interacting. There's
Hmm.
no masks to hide your expressions.
Yeah.
And yeah, the setup time is minimal. And I know exactly what you're
Yes.
saying with the prep time, because I
Yeah.
used to be on QVC for like
Yeah.
7 years, and I'd
Okay, you
go
got it.
go to Pennsylvania after hair and makeup was done here at home, and then go and have to do more hair and makeup in their studio for like a 5 to 9 minute clip, and then
Hey.
drive, an hour and 45 minutes back home.
Yeah.
I treasured that experience because it was just a huge business goal. And I'm so glad that, that I have them as a relationship, and I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
But yeah, to be able to hop on in an instant and then hop
That's
off and go like make dinner for the family is golden.
Yeah. That's the other thing I'll say, which is a value and that like listeners can also take away is there are, I mean, yes, there was the NFT NYC and they videotaped every talk, which I'm glad about because I was there in person and couldn't catch like almost anything, like meaning I was just in conversations and all the other fun stuff that comes with it. But there are also some virtual conferences, which I'll either be a speaker or join. And the good news is they're usually on time because there's not all the things in between, and they can get like these amazing speakers all at one conference because everybody's just coming on for like, great, we're on time and we're grabbing this person and that person and that person, and they're all over the world, but there's this like wealth of knowledge just like in one spot. So I think like a lot of really good things came out of I think also it probably sped up some of what's going to be Web3 is, like you didn't know what Zoom was. I did because I work on global teams like on crypto. So we like, time zones, whatever, we just like have our Zoom meetings. And so like now it's normalized Zoom, it's normalized remote. It's like, all of these things that we're like, oh, we can do this instead. Cool. So, and I think it's also helped things not be so like stodgy in terms of like shows and everything. Like, so what, your dog was barking in the background, like like he came in, great, like that's cool, no reason to like stop, re-record, edit, blah blah blah. It's just like, this is life. And originally social media, people like the transparency and authenticity and blah 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 until Instagram came out, and then it's like it's its own thing of like it's like an edited magazine in your feed, so I'm glad we're back to more like just being real people.
Definitely. So what would you advise, here's a good one, what would you advise the women in this space? And you and I have been, it sounds like you and I have been part of women's groups. I was female founders group, and I know what you're talking about with the funding and everything. I hop into some of these rooms and I hear young girls talking because I'm 49. I'll be 50 in May. And you and I are both seasoned professionals. We've been around the boys club. I want to tell these girls to just move forward. You're going to get bad words thrown at you. You're going to get, people who are trying to knock you down. Just keep plowing forward. Once use the machete in the hand. Thing, just full steam ahead.
I think some of it too, I think the word I was looking for before was like an agency. So it's like you have your own agency of who you are and what you know and what you don't know. I also think there's a lot of feminist men in this space. The younger generations are, in my opinion, more inclusive. I think this space wants to be inclusive, albeit there's still bro culture within crypto, and bro culture meaning like sometimes they'll be inclusive and sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing it. So then it's like, I've said this before on other shows, it's like, is it a pick your battles thing? Like, do you want to spend your energy like educating somebody on how, if they're being XYZ, or just like being a duck where water just flows off your back and you just go to the next point. So I think doing like, definitely don't want to scare women off from like where the men are, because I love my guys. Like most of my friends are all dudes and in different ecosystems and different talents and everything. And I very much cherish those relationships. And I think that there's, a lot of mixed diversity Twitter spaces and stuff where it's great to like learn and all that. But I do also think there is something special to also join like women in crypto or women in NFT groups. And depending on the title of it or the conversation or where it's going, it could end up being like a mixture of topics, whether it's something around your personal safety, which I heard in one today, versus like just being treated differently, or and there's like when I think of like having agency, you can sit there and know that, or do you also just want to like jump in and start talking as well?
Yeah, I mean, I always suggest that the girls, women, us, turn your mic on. Always jump in the room, and when you get
Yep.
the gist of what's going on, hit the request button and just
Yep.
you could just speak and just be like, I'm here
Yes.
to learn. I listen 4 times more than I speak. I just, appreciate all the value you're contributing.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more than people that people like more than to know that they are adding value to you.
Yes.
And, sometimes I guess, what was the other thing that I was going to mention? You mentioned personal safety. And I too was a little disturbed how a couple things of women being victimized
Mm-hmm.
certain
Mm-hmm.
certain spaces, especially like the physical ones at NFT NYC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some girls were there by themselves because not some of your friends aren't caught up to what an NFT is or want to share
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
interests that you have. So it bothered me that some women were there by themselves, because I don't care if you're going to a rock concert or a movie theater. As a woman, you don't be by yourself. Just
Mm-hmm.
don't put yourself in that situation in the
Yeah.
first place, kind of thing. But if you are, how do you handle that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, well, so it's funny with that said, I go to things by myself, right? But I'll choose things that you know, safety. So, and it's also just, I like to, like, I might Uber depending on time, like, right? Like Uber to it, go there, know that I already know people inside. So sometimes when I roll out by myself a lot, but when I do so, I already know that I'm going to know people there, whether it's the organizers or like you in New York, or like we might not go together, but we meet together, things like that.
Mhm.
It's just so interesting, just different things. I won't say who, but I went to one event and it was crazy, but I asked if I could maybe come in and see the art. And they were like, come back later. And I came back later and the door people switched. And the door guy like literally laughed in my face. And I like went, and what was interesting is like now that I'm older, I went, why did you just laugh in my face? Like, why are you laughing in my face? Or I said something like that. And he like took him a minute, but then, and like this other older than me guy also started like laughing. Like to me, I felt like so small and it was this bro joke and like they're laughing at me because they were.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all I'm asking is like, can I see the art? And if it's like too freaking busy here, just tell me, like, don't laugh in my face. And because I also heard him being really nice to all these other people and asking them where they're from and are you from Brooklyn, blah blah blah, and and I'm like, and I live here, right? So it's like, and this guy didn't, right? So there's that piece too. But I
Right.
go, why'd you laugh in my face? And then he finally realized, he goes, I'm so sorry. Like I was like, thank you. And
Yeah.
then I looked over the other guy and he was like, all like, oh shoot, I must have heard it wrong. I didn't know what I was laughing at. I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you don't do that. I ended up actually like leaving and then just talking to my taxi cab driver about it on the way home because he had brought up something. And he was like, I was like, this guy wasn't even from New York. How dare he
How dare he come to my town?
come to my town and laugh in my face?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
But
just
that
trying to
is
go to
that it does
an
make you feel
NFT thing, not the Met Gala. Like, relax a little, you know?
exactly. Well, I mean, we need to like put together like a tip sheet of an
Yeah,
arsenal, carry yourself
yeah,
tall, or,
yeah,
befriend a guy with you in line.
yeah,
Listen, it's not like you should just accept this, but
yeah,
as a woman, but if you're going to play the game, learn how to play the game. So if you're playing the bro game, when you're in line, maybe chit chat it up with like that guy who was standing behind you, hey, you're a collector, you're this, even when you get there, kind of like let them, you guys penetrate the shell, and just know that he'll have your back. So if that dude
yeah,
at the gate laughed at you, you're like, can you beat him up?
yeah,
I don't know.
seriously.
But it is trying to game the system. And if the system is
Yeah,
rigged towards, male domination, then
yeah.
we just have to get the proper arsenal. You can't go to a knife fight with something, or you can't go to a gunfight with a knife. Is that a
I don't
saying?
know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a
Which
really good point. And then sometimes what I'll say to people too, it's just like, pick your battles too. It's like, it's like, go where it's warm. If you're not up for all that, there were these amazing, like Boss Beauties did a really incredible event. It was well attended by both men and women. And hey, that's like extremely welcoming for women. So it's like, sometimes you just want to go where it's warm and just go to those places, and you'll still get huge value. Like, you don't have to go to the broy things to get like massive value. We know plenty. So
Yeah,
there's that as well,
that's true. And just to shill
Yeah.
my own project, I do
Yeah.
have two Boss Beauties. I bought one for myself and for my
Uh-huh.
daughter. I do love
Yeah.
that there's a Boss Beauty hanging in the stock exchange, and there's
Yes.
more interesting things coming down the pike on them.
I can't wait to hear that. I have 3 myself. I can't wait. And I spoke at their they had a great like event series leading up to the drop. And I spoke at that and it was great. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. I wish I was more active when I was in the city at NFT NYC, because I was there with my husband for his
Uh-huh.
projects, and I didn't kind of have my own projects, but he has been so encouraging to get me involved in this. It was our wedding anniversary, 25th wedding anniversary. And he gave me some kind of gem. It was an NFT gem. He's like, check your wallet. I'm like, where's my wallet? Like, you had me set this up last week. I don't even know. And it was some kind of like a yellow diamond type thing. And it was an
Oh, that's so
NFT.
cool.
Yeah. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? What is this? So I didn't have a full appreciation yet of NFTs,
Uh-huh.
but now that I do, I want like a do-over of the event so I can go and do some more
Yeah.
fun stuff.
I think they're going to have another one in June, I think they said. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
exciting that it's going to be so soon. And then there's of course other ones I'm sure on the way. But
Excellent.
yeah, yeah. There's a in Miami, the big like yearly art conference is coming, and then there's going to be some like NFT
Mhm.
yeah,
I heard some people talking
DeFi
about
conference on top of that, and then all the satellite events as well. So it'll probably be bananas.
especially Miami. I just came from Florida. I wish I should have delayed my trip until then.
Yeah.
Um, there was one more aspect that I wanted to ask you, and then I will let you go to your evening.
Yeah.
Gosh, I forgot. Is there anything else that you want to
I could show my project.
impart?
Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm so sorry. Talk
that's
about your
okay.
fashion meets
No.
technology.
Yeah. So, Fierce Studios. So, what's interesting in everything we're talking about? So part of it is like, okay, where can we meet? So my co-founder has this company called Casting Coin, and we met like early on in crypto, like 2018, 2017 at a Women in Crypto dinner. And I was talking about my crypto kitties and punks. And I was like, I'm a digital cat lady. Like, I don't know what these, right? And she had this really cool idea to make like a decentralized like hub where you can, brands could hire models like directly and everything. And maybe there'd be a token and all this stuff. But she like quickly saw the winter coming and said it's way too soon. And we caught up like in this generation of what's happening. And I said, let's like think about some NFTs. And she'd already been thinking about it. And we decided to launch Fear Studios, and we brought in another gal named Marissa. So it's like Michelle, Marissa, and I, fully docs team. So it's like, our pictures are all over everything, like, and our bios. And we still are thinking, okay, how can we bring like these real models into the metaverse or NFTs or whatever, and also brands, and again, meet brands where they're at, because we thought, let's do something for Fashion Week. We could do it around tickets. We could do like a virtual metaverse fashion show, and it was just like cool, but way too soon. And like, there's probably 10 brands that are like really deeply in the space, and probably in gaming that we could potentially work with. And so what we ended up landing on that's coming out probably early December is we're doing a Genesis drop of 10,000, the 10,000 collection, where we have 10 models that they're based upon, but you look at the NFT and it could stand alone. Like, this thing is so cute, but it's based on a real model, and 1,000 of each. And so we could build our community out like that and meet the space where it's at. Like, let's bring the community in. And we're also doing some fun, like will be announced soon, ideas with some other women's projects, and some of which is entertainment based. And we also have more entertainment based things kind of in our like roadmap, if you will. And where it goes into like the metaverse and that thinking, I remember I said a couple of times to my co-founder, like, can you tell me what you think? Like, what is metaverse to you? Right? Because it's probably different for each person. Like, we just envisioned your like Oprah show, like, and you can wear your gem there and really show it off then, right? And so it's like, what is it to
Wear
my
your dead mouse
co-founder?
ears.
And I'll wear, my ears, or maybe some, the ears, and then, and so to her it was like, and is like, because she originally is like fashion photographer, can she do photo shoots virtually, like somehow? And so that's what it is in her mind, like metaverse is that,
Interesting.
and to me, like, so like kind of maybe meeting the market where it's at now is like, could it be, we were approached by somebody that's bought a lot of land, and could we do our studio there, and could we also do a boutique with our brand?
You
So it's
mean
like,
like land in the metaverse?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
So
you
like,
want to put your studio there. Okay.
yeah, so there's people buying land within the metaverse and building it out like you would build out regular real estate. And so we could potentially have our studio there. And he said, we know you're working with brands, could you have a retail store? I'm like, yeah, great, let's do a retail store, so any brand that we're working with then can, be in the retail store. So back to, say, our 10,000 Genesis collection that's dropping, we have partnered with a sneaker brand, and part of the collection, and I'm just thinking, like, for people listening, to kind of like dumb it down for smart people, when you get these 10,000 collections, some of them will have different rarity traits, or just traits, like it might be one lipstick versus another, one might be winking, one might have a tattoo, like all of these things combined in generative art process. And so we have a sneaker brand that will be a rarity trait, and so the ones with the sneaker will get extra special things from the sneaker. And wouldn't it be great if one of those things were a digital shoe, sneaker, that then they can go wear in the metaverse? And maybe, later that sneaker is also a collab with like my World of Women profile picture, if I own the right IP, or it's there, maybe later it's just like super simple to be like, okay, my NFT and the sneaker in the store, and somehow you can like, make it happen with the code or whatever.
Yes.
So that's kind of like, so right now, like December, it's like we've got the collection with the utility trait of the sneaker brand, and some other fun stuff we hope to do and like maximize with that, and have the community with this longer vision of like, okay, we want to be in the metaverse. What will that look like today versus, I also know I don't know what a year from now looks like. Like, what does that look like? Hopefully we could do the show. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me, like something I would go to. Am I shopping? Yes, because I'm already buying stuff. So
Yeah.
like, what does that look like? And mass adoption, like how easy is it for other people to onboard and come in and like join us and be in the audience and things like that?
Exactly. So that's super exciting. It sounds like it's very like broad in terms of the thinking, yet going to execute in a phased approach, which sounds really cool. You and I should definitely talk, because I am a brand owner with IP in the comfort space. So I have my Throby wearable blanket. It's a blanket poncho, and pillowcases and dog ponchos. And with my company, we give back to shelter animals all across the nation. So we've donated over 20,000 blankets to comfort homeless animals nationwide. So this is my IRL, in real life company.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a conversation with you on how to potentially, maybe, I don't know, join forces and be
for sure,
brands inside of what you're doing, which are conversations that I'm also having on the outside. And I wish you tons of luck on that project. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is, how do regular brands end up trying to be in the metaverse? Like people who
Yeah.
have IP or, patented patented products or
Hmm.
name brands. How do they make sure that they're not left out and make sure that their stuff gets minted on the blockchain so that it doesn't get taken over? Like you have the deal with the sneaker company. I picture that being a potential business opportunity, almost like an intermediary
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
helps usher um, real life brands
Yeah.
onto the into the metaverse, so they can easily, partner with you and the
Yeah.
models and the photo shoots and all of that fun stuff,
Yeah.
or with anyone else, just to even make their mark.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that like, thank you so much. The companies, I mean, it's just in terms of scale of these companies, right? So whether they have in-house teams or they have to be educated, or, every business is made out of some sort of need and creating value. So you probably mentioned a business right there, although innovative and soon, that I think like the ones that I bought, the Karl Lagerfeld and say the Rebecca Minkoff, like there was an intermediary company that did the tech, and they're probably, you know, explaining it to teams over at the larger brands and how does it work and like all the things, because that's what we're finding we're doing too. Like we could have had several brands on our first drop, although we're super super psyched about the sneakers and I'm fine with just them.
Mhm.
It's a lift to uh, get into bigger established brands and get their timelines on the speed of crypto timelines. Like, so I think it's probably even a good time for, like, the word would not be younger or smaller, but like the brands that are more agile and like don't have a big, corporation behind them could probably really excel in this space. And then the other piece though is that, back to, okay, this is all business. And so where is the money? Like, so I don't know if right now there's this will be my retail world, like foot traffic in the metaverse for some serious like sales, right? Because that's it at the end of it, like where's the sales mechanism for this business? And I'm not sure if it's there potentially yet, because like we need more people on there to create foot traffic and like buy the things. But like we'll get there, and it's going that way. And I think it's super interesting. So it's like more will be revealed.
Can you imagine if it ends up that people are buying billboards in the land in the metaverse on
Hmm.
the side of the highway? You're just passing by and there's a
Yeah.
billboard.
Yeah, I saw a
Doing a
little bit of
full
that, or like
circle
the
all the
side
way
of the
back.
building. Yeah.
Really?
Like I saw it in some mock-ups, like a billboard or the side of the building, or yeah, because it's like also, how are you gonna know that that little boutique's there when you walk out of like the concert hall, you know?
That's true.
So it's something else. And so it's like it's usability and all of those things, but like it's a really interesting time.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I hope that I'm just kind of like replaying all of what we said. And I hope that the listeners kind of grasp it and that we didn't go too deep into our own little lingo and
I
have a good
know.
time in this space with by losing people along the way. But I think that
I
we did a really good job of explaining it and paralleling it to
Hopefully.
understandable stuff.
Yeah. This one was probably a mind blower where somebody's got to take a minute and think about it, come back, pause it at 20 minutes and then come back later.
But I do advise everyone go watch Ready Player One. It really does
Yeah.
kind of sum up the metaverse and
Yeah.
and then the other kind of aspects as well that we dove into.
So
We'll just leave proper English back in Web 2.
amazing.
All right. Well,
Amazing.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Do you I think I read that you're an international author as well, or
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. They can just find me. You can just find me on Twitter. My handle's at Social Diva.
at Social Diva.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll do this again as things evolve. Like it will be ever
Yeah.
changing. So we'll set up
Yeah.
another meeting in a little while.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Peg. I appreciate it. I'll launch this podcast probably within a day or two.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.